What's up, everyone? It's me, GOCARLO, and in one take, we are gonna talk about the Nintendo 64. That's right, I'm putting myself up to the challenge. One take, we're gonna talk about my entire Nintendo 64 collection. This is gonna be a long video. I'm gonna answer a lot of questions. What's my favorite N64 game of all time? My stuff is all over the place right now, but I have some games in the box. I have a lot of cartridges. I even have this thing that holds all the games together. But you know where we gotta start? The console itself, right? And the controller. N64, alright, I didn't actually have it when I was a kid. My first system was the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 1 games, and then I had the PS2. My first Nintendo system was actually the Game Boy Advanced. So my cousins had the N64, and before I ever had a Game Boy, they had, you know, the Game Boy Color, the original Game Boy, because I remember them playing Pokemon, but I didn't have those systems myself. But basically, yeah, the controller was weird, and as a kid, I didn't know how you were supposed to hold it. I didn't know how you were supposed to hold it till it took a while. It took a while, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. Alright guys, honorable mention to Conker's Bad Fur Day and Conker's Live and Reloaded, because I played it on the Xbox remastered version, and that's why I don't have it on the N64. But that game has always been expensive. Alright, so the official count of how many games I have has not even started yet, because these are just the box games I have. So this is really just the sampler right now. We're gonna keep the official count, all right? I haven't counted yet, but at the end of this video, we're gonna have an official count of how many N64 games I have. All right, guys. Number one, Elmo's Letter Adventure. I think I played this on PS1, so one day I saw it and I had to get it for N64. Game number one. Game number two, Superman 64. I have this game because of the Angry Video Game Nerd, and I got him to sign it, and I was gonna give it to my friend because that's a good gift for the memories, but looks like I kept it in my collection. All right, we're also gonna make a stack. I guess these are the games I already talked about. Game number three, Majora's Mask. I played this game when I was young. To be honest, I have not gone back to it, you know, since I was a kid, but it's a good game. One day I'll return to it and I'll beat it, but Ocarina of Time, Ocarina of Time. You wanna hear some conspiracy theory? All right, conspiracy theory, shout out to Retro Rick. He said all Majora's Mask cartridges are damaged at the top on the corners there. And when I heard him say that in a video, I knew exactly what he was talking about, because my cartridge isn't as bad as some of the other examples I've seen, but it's there. All right, the next game we have here is Smash Bros. Smash Bros, I remember this game from when I was a kid. It's the first Smash Bros game. It's not Melee, it's not Brawl, it's not Ultimate. It's the first Smash Bros, but it's always a good time. I think to this day, this one's probably the least sweaty, so worth it. I think when I finally picked up this game again when I was a kid, like when I finally got my own N64 and picked up this game, it had all the characters unlocked, and I wiped it. I wiped the memory so I can unlock all the characters myself, and then I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just rocked out with all the characters, because I'm not gonna sit here and unlock all the characters now. So if you ever buy one of these, it might have all the characters on there. You know, you don't gotta erase all the data. Alright guys, next game, the first Mario Party. Now I gotta say, some of these games, bro, you gotta do what you gotta do for some of these games. Some of these games I bought from flea markets. Some of these games I paid full price for. Some of these games, they're mine now. I don't know, I don't remember how I got this. I don't remember how I got this here. Alright guys, next game, Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. So Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue on N64 and on PS1 is actually a completely different game. No cap, on PS1 and on N64 it's a completely different game. And the PS1 version is better, and the N64 version is one of the worst games of all time. But I didn't even know that until I watched a video about it. Alright, next on the list, guys. Ocarina of Time. This game should be an anime. This is my favorite N64 game of all time. It's the best game. It's the best game ever. This game should be an anime. Really the story, the art style, I think it's something else. You know what I mean? It's not even just the best Zelda game, whatever. It doesn't have to be the best Zelda game. It's its own thing, and I really like it. Ocarina of Time. So we reviewed 7 games. Alright, here we have something. Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo. You know what? I never played it because I'm getting confused with Episode 1 Pod Racer. I need to check this game out. I like Star Wars. Anything Star Wars. I like the prequels. Yeah, this is cool. Alright, next game we have here is Rugrats in Paris. I played the PS1 version when I was a kid, so I had to get the N64 version. I think it's the same game, actually. All the Rugrats games are good. You know, maybe some people say some are better than others. I really haven't played them since I was a kid. But yeah, when I was a kid, I really liked Rugrats, and the games were actually really good. Here we have Banjo-Tooie. Alright guys, Banjo-Tooie. I never played it because I was always one of those guys who I wanted to be Banjo 1 first. You know, I'm not like that in all cases, but in this case, it was like that. But this game, I haven't said it in a while, the value of stuff is just going up. Banjo-Tooie. Alright, here we have Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. It's been a while since I revisited this game, but this game is heavy in the lore. I'm a big Star Wars fan, and this is a definite, you know, recommendation. I might revisit this game. There's a lot of stuff that's in this game that actually has been coming back in the Star Wars canon, you know, as we speak. You know, a couple years ago, you never thought that, you know, some of this stuff would be canon, but this is awesome, guys. Alright, boom, here we have Kirby and the Crystal Shards, man. So what did I say about it before? It's one of my favorite N64 games. I like the blocky N64 art style in this game. Kirby games always have a really good art style. This one, you know, is a little different, but it's cool. But the gameplay is really good. I think it might be the best side-scroller platformer kind of thing on the N64, because this is more of a classic game. It's not a 3D game. Kirby 64 might be on my list for favorite N64 games. There should have been a game like it on the GameCube. But now they're kind of fixing that. There's a lot of Kirby games on the Switch. All right, next we're gonna talk about a game that I'm happy that I have. WWE. I said WWE. It's WWF. No Mercy. The Attitude Era. This is one of the best wrestling games of all time. The value of this one going up, and there's a lot of mods for this game. You know what's really cool? The box for this game. The box for this game has a completely different cover art from the cartridge, so I kind of want that in my collection. WWF No Mercy. After that, what is this, WrestleMania 2000? Actually, not a lot I can say about this game, to be honest, but I'm a big wrestling fan. I'm trying to collect a lot of wrestling games, and the value just keeps going up. It's always cool to figure out like who's in what game, like what the roster is in this game compared to this game. And there's a whole bunch of different wrestling games, WCW games, ECW games. So the wrestling lore is so cool, you know, when you figure out, oh, this game has this guy and he's not in that game because he's in a different company. But I'm really happy I have those games. Some of these games I completely didn't know I had it, or I forgot if I had them. So I didn't really look through them too much, but those are games that I was happy that I had in my collection. All right, next game. Toy Story 2 on the N64. I played this game on PlayStation 1. So check it out, guys. So I said Toy Story 2, but it's really a Buzz Lightyear game. Like it says, Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the rescue. This is a really good game. People are speedrunning it. People are playing it on Twitch now. People are modding it to have different graphics. This is a really good game, guys. I'm serious. I played it a lot when I was a kid. I beat a bunch of levels in it when I was a kid. Like, I spent a lot of time in certain PS1 games. This is one of them. Like, it's not a bad game. It's a really good game. Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the rescue. Alright, next we have Bomberman. I almost said Bomberman 64, but no, this is Bomberman Hero. This is a cool game. It's a Bomberman adventure kind of game. And it's cool. I like it better. This is probably my favorite Bomber game. This is probably my favorite Bomberman game ever, okay? I'm being serious. The regular Bomberman games are not it. This Bomberman Hero, this is good. Next on the list, Mario Kart 64. This is a good game. Now, if you ask me about Mario Kart Super Nintendo, this is probably as far back as I'll ever go. This game is good, but Mario Kart 64, everybody knows what's up. You know what's up. It's Mario Kart 64. Alright, yo, I have, wow, somehow, I don't know how, it all wound up this way. Japanese games. Here we have Mario 64 Japanese. Ocarina of Time Japanese. Donkey Kong 64 Japanese. Those are my Japanese games. So the next game was Banjo-Kazooie. We talked about it before, I have it in the box and everything. I like this game. Isn't one of my favorite games ever. Not really. That's Banjo-Kazooie. Alright. Here we have Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA. It's a game from Midway. It might have been an arcade game. Wow, just when you thought I was done with Japanese games, we had one more. Mario Kart 64 Japanese version. Here we have a game called Fighters Destiny. Now, I don't know if I already had this game or if I picked it up because a friend of mine, one of my best friends, right? He says that he remembers playing this game as a kid, and this has to be his first fighting game he ever played. So shout out to Fighter's Destiny, and I think there's a Fighter's Destiny 2. It's a unique fighting game. It's an N64 fighting game. Like, there's not many like Street Fighter kind of fighting games on N64, and this definitely isn't exactly like Street Fighter. It's its own thing, but shout out to this game. Here we have Hey You Pikachu. So this is like a pet simulator with Pikachu. This is kind of like the Dreamcast game Seaman, but with Pikachu. And this game even has a microphone and an N64 controller attachment. And you know I had to have this. My plan, it's all coming back to me, is I wanted to have a TV just 24 hours with this game going. But the game I played when I was a kid was Pokemon Channel. So I think Pokemon Channel is kind of a sequel to this game. Kinda, not really, but Hey You Pikachu. Interesting game. After that, Pokemon Snap. I used to watch RB and the Chief, and one of the best jokes I ever heard is Pokemon Snap is the best Star Wars game ever made. Alright, you're not gonna get that joke. Pokemon Snap, all these years later, they finally made a sequel, but I actually played the sequel and I tried to stream it. Biggest waste of time ever. But the first one is a good game. We all like the first 151. Alright, here's a game that I actually didn't talk about yet. Pokemon Stadium. This is a game I remember from when I was a kid, when I was a baby. Yes, I didn't mention it during the games I remember from back in the day. This is one of them, yo. This is a game I remember from when I was really young and people had an N64. Pokemon Stadium was that. Pokemon Stadium probably at the time was like the craziest graphics like ever. So yeah. And before I even talk about anything else, Pokemon Stadium 2, guys, look at this, the price sticker from like years ago, $14. I bought this years ago. I have 2 copies of this, but imagine $14. Now this game's probably worth so much. But you know what else is really good? I could say, especially about the second one, is mini games. The mini games are really good, and I think from what I remember is the first one had different mini games. But something else I will say is, this is Pokemon Stadium 2, this is Pokemon Stadium 1, but in Japan, there was actually one more. There was a first one that had less content than either of these games, but it was kind of like, you know what I mean, the beginning. So the rest of the world skipped that game, and we got, you know, Pokemon Stadium, and then Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver, I think is what they called it in Japan. And then, alright guys, here we have Paper Mario. This game is ahead of its time on the N64. Definitely ahead of its time on the N64. Really good graphics. It's a Mario RPG, you know, the second of its kind, probably right after Mario RPG, you know, I guess came Paper Mario, and really awesome. I'm gonna look at 29 games so far. Alright guys, so the next game I'm looking at, Deadly Arts. I guess this is another fighting game or beat 'em up on the N64. Honestly, I can't even remember, but if you ever see, you know, cover art that looks like that, anime, you gotta buy it. Here we have an RPG called Aiden's Chronicles, and I have this game because I got it from my friend whose name was Aiden, and I think Quest 64 might be comparable to this game. Maybe, maybe not. Wow guys, should we talk about some good games? Mario 64, we're not even gonna spend a lot of time talking about this game because you all know what's up. This game is still streamed today, people speed run it. A lot of people might say that this is the best game of all time. Mario 64, guys. Mario 64. It's a beautiful, it could even be a beautiful mistake, you know, with all the glitches and how long this game has been cherished and loved. So, Mario 64. Here we have Star Fox 64. One of my favorite games on the N64. You know, so is Mario 64, but Star Fox 64 is a really good game. Star Fox 64, do a barrel roll. The graphics, the story it tells, the gameplay, solid experience until you get to like one of those later levels that confuses you. But I think that's like the trend of Star Fox games. Star Fox 64, so awesome. Mortal Kombat 4. Alright, this Mortal Kombat 4 is a good game. People probably play this in the arcade. They probably play every other version of this game. I don't know about the N64 version, because I think the controller here might be your limitation. Or if you get, you know, some type of controller to really be able to play this. Here we go. Wave Race 64. I bought this at a GameStop. It has a GameStop sticker way after they stopped selling N64 games, but here it is. Wave Race 64. Shit. Alright, here, I just picked this game out. I don't know if we talked about it already. I don't really see another yellow cartridge. But we talked about the Japanese version. We talked about the case I had, or I have the box of this game. And this is my first video game ever. This is the first video game I've ever played. Shout outs to you, Donkey Kong 64. You needed... Alright, because you guys don't know all the details, let me tell you. You need to play this game. This game cost Nintendo and the creators of this game so much money that it had to be packaged with bum-ba-da-bum. Wow, this N64 doesn't have it. But alright, so this is what an N64 looks like default, you know, stock. But this game required you to add the attachment or the expansion pack. There's some other games that probably required it. I think maybe Pokemon Snap. But here we go. Next game, Jet Force Gemini. This is a good game. It's made by Rare. It's like a shooter, third-person shooter, platformer, action game. It's a good game. Here we have 1080 Snowboarding. Now this could be a game that I probably remember more than I'm admitting, because probably like games like Tony Hawk and SSX Tricky probably got like, you know, all sandwiched together in my head. But we might have played that game more than we like to admit. 38 games, not counting the Japanese ones. Next we have GoldenEye 007, the first-person shooter that we all remember, or at least I remember. It's a really good game, you know, really interesting format they used here for the first-person shooter. To this day, when you go back and play it, the level design and just the game design, you know, what they had in mind for the player to do in these levels and the replayability and everything. Very creative. Probably makes the movie even more infamous. You know, there we go. James Bond 007. Here we have Rampage. Rampage is just a classic game. I forget where. I was in the arcade once, and one of my friends, like, we were playing this game in the arcade, and it was revealed to me that my friend really knew a thing or two about Rampage and how to destroy the buildings. This isn't the first Rampage game ever, but this is the one on N64. Here we have Turok. People really like this game. People grew up with this game, Turok. This is another first-person shooter, right? It's a first-person game. Turok with dinosaurs. It's a good one. Did I ever get into it? That's another story. Here's one that I haven't played. All-Star Baseball 2001. It's a red cartridge. That's cool. That's the only red cartridge I have. Actually, no. I have one more, and the other red cartridge I have is one of my favorite games ever. Alright guys, coming up next, we have another first-person shooter. Alright, we were talking about first-person shooters. This is kind of a first-person shooter. South Park. You know what's crazy, guys? I only saw what the N64 game looked like, and then I saw footage on whatever you want to call it, Twitter or X, I saw footage of this game, the PC version, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind to see the PC version of this game that I guess this is a downgraded version of. But this game is kind of classic. It's so weird, you know. It's one of those games where I guess South Park was so early, and you know, I guess the people working on this game didn't understand everything about South Park. So that's kind of why nowadays when they finally made good South Park games, it just, you know, so redeeming, you know, that they had to start from this. Other games that were kind of like that, where they started when the show was early, was like kind of like the Simpsons game. That's actually a good game, like the arcade game, the Simpsons arcade game. Here we have, this is a good game, but again, this isn't the best version of it, I don't think. Mortal Kombat Trilogy, guys. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. This is a really good game. What this does is it combines all the characters from Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, and Mortal Kombat 3, and it could have even more stuff. Like all the secret characters and everything, but this is a really good game. But again, you know, I know a lot about fighting games, and the N64 might not be the best controller to play this game with. Here we have Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer. This is a good game, guys. This is a good game. It actually recently came out on the Xbox and or the Xbox One, Xbox Series X, everything. And I've been getting the achievements for this game. It's a good game. Here we have Doom 64. Okay guys, I like Doom, and this is Doom 64. Alright, I'm honest in the situations, you know. Haven't played this one too much, at least from what I remember. But you know why? Because I wanted to like experience all the Dooms in order or something. Every Doom game is kind of hard, or at least when you start from the beginning, man. But I like Doom. Here we have Turok. I have another copy of Turok. Ooh, I almost said episode 1. We're finally done talking about episode 1 games. This is the beginning of one of the best series ever. Rogue Squadron. Yes, on the N64. I started playing Rogue Squadron games on the GameCube. This is the first Rogue Squadron game on the N64. I think now it's on like even PC and everything, but this is the classic games. I mean, this is the classic trilogy. All the space battles, the graphics were probably really good for the time. I know the GameCube graphics were really good, so this probably was the same effect. Oh, here we have Perfect Dark. Now, to be honest, this is a game where I haven't gotten into Perfect Dark too much because I guess I'm more of a GoldenEye fan. But Perfect Dark, you know, it's on the Xbox now, but so is GoldenEye. But Perfect Dark has always been like an Xbox family kind of thing. Alright guys, we only have a few games left to talk about. Actually, I think we almost got through all my games. So real quick, I guess let's count them up again. Alright, so I think we're at 48. Alright guys, we only have a few games left. Here we have Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness. Alright, so I like Pac-Man, and this is a good Pac-Man game, you know, because it's different and it tries to be like, I guess, an adventure kind of game with the classic Pac-Man mazes. This is a good game. It's really not on any other system. I mean, it's kind of like its own thing. I said Ocarina of Time was my favorite game, but I'm saving number 2. You know, could be number 1 for last. You know, I'm saving the best for last. Not this game, but here's Cruisin' USA. Classic game. Classic game. 48, 49, 50. Guys, we talked about 50 games. And I said we're saving the best for last. Here we have Spider-Man. I think this is based on, you know, the 90s animation. The PlayStation version, from my memory, has to get points, and this has to lose points, the N64 version, because this, from what I remember, does not have the cutscenes, and the PlayStation 1 version has the full cutscenes. I guess the best version of the game would have to be the Dreamcast version, because the game is also on the Sega Dreamcast. And then there is a sequel to this game. I don't think the sequel is on the Nintendo 64. I know it's on PlayStation, and I'm not sure if it's on Dreamcast. But shout out to Spider-Man by Neversoft. This is actually by the studio that made Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Speaking of which, I guess I don't have it here in my collection, but this might not be every N64 game that I have. I might even have more. But there we go, guys. We talked about more than 50 N64 games, and man, I'm really happy that I got to share this with you guys. This is a really long video. Please say what's up if you guys are still with me. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this. I'm gonna chop this up into different TikToks. I want to know how many games I actually had, what I have and what I don't have, what I'm missing and everything. But yo, thank you guys so much. Again, this was me, GOCARLO. Check out all my channels. GOCARLO Twitch. That's the name on Instagram and everywhere. Also Kings of Comic Con, and now GOCARLO Collectibles, GOCARLO Fighting Games, and whatever I call this channel. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Peace.